Hey everybody, Art Burns here. Hope you're all doing well today. I hope that you're hanging in there. I hope that you're staying present and staying, sane through all this that's going on. And so today I wanted to follow up on what I've been talking about the last couple days, which is curiosity and vulnerability, and how important these things are to sort of avoiding the stress in our lives. When we can maintain a level of curiosity and vulnerability, we reduce the level of fear that we have in ourselves and in our minds and in our emotions. And when we reduce the fear, we avoid the stress response. It's that simple, right? And so there's a really great practice that can help you not only to reduce the fear, to increase your level of curiosity, to cultivate it, and to also cultivate a vulnerability in yourself, but it's also something that will immensely help with communications. What I'm talking about here is active listening. Now, some people are more naturally actively listening to others, without practice. But for most of us, it requires some practice because it's not a skill that is innate, and it's not a skill that is, very intuitive for us, right? A lot of us, when we're in conversations, what we wind up doing is we wind up listening so that we can respond, right? We're listening we're kind of waiting for the person to pause for a moment so that we can give our opinion and we can make our point. We can contribute to the conversation. And as I said, this speaks to both curiosity and vulnerability in very specific ways. So the vulnerability, the way that this applies to vulnerability, is a lot of times that motivation to give our 2 cents is coming from a place of kind of fear or insecurity, right? A lack of vulnerability, right? Like we don't want to be seen as not smart enough. We don't want to be seen as not informed enough. So we want to give our opinion so that we look good, right? And curiosity, of course, when we're listening to reply, we're not listening to understand, right? And when we can, kind of train ourselves to listen to understand, then that is going to cultivate a sense of curiosity, like really being curious about what the other person is trying to say to you, right? What they're explaining to you. And really, if we can cultivate this curiosity through the practice of active listening, then we really get a sense of learning through conversations, which is very, very important, right? And then, of course, the way this benefits all of your conversations, right? Like there's nothing that feels better than having someone listen to you, right? To really listening to what you're saying. And so, as I said, it's a spectrum. Not everybody is, lacking in active listening, but most of us do need a little help. And there's a couple of really great ways that you can practice this. Now, there's an informal way to do it, which is just to remind yourself, right? Just remind yourself to listen to understand rather than listening to respond, right? But if you wanted to get a little bit more formal about it, what you can do is something that I've learned that's called looping, right? Like giving feedback on what the person is telling you, right? So instead of like waiting for the pause to make your point, what you can do instead is you can use that time that you get to actually give the reflect back to the person what they just said to you, right? And when we do this, we really indicate to the other person that we really are hearing them. We're listening to understand because we care enough, right? And this is going to help you again in all of your different interactions, right? Whether it's in your family, your friends, and especially in your business dealings, right? Like there's there's a saying in business, right? They don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, right? And it's a sure sign of caring when we can truly listen and give that reflection back, right? Now there's also a formal way to practice this looping exercise, right? If you'd like written instructions, all you got to do is hit me up with a comment or a direct message. But essentially, it's very simple. You're gonna find somebody to practice with, right? Your spouse, your significant other, a good friend, a colleague, whatever it is. Set a timer for about 2 minutes, right? And each of you take turns, right? So the person A, set the time for 2 minutes. Person A has those 2 minutes to speak. Person B has to listen to understand. And when the timer goes off, person A stops talking and person B reflects back what they heard, right? It doesn't have to be like verbatim. It doesn't have to be a memorization. It's not a memorization practice, right? It doesn't have to be memorization, but just a reflection of the guys, the gist of what the person told you, right? And then when that, person A then has the opportunity to say, okay, you heard me on this, this, and this, but you missed this thing. So I just want to say that again. And at the end, when the person A feels like they were heard fully, they simply say, I feel heard, thank you. And once that happens, you switch sides and you go through the same practice again. I did this every night with my wife for a long time, and it just changed everything in our relationship. I mean, everything. It was we grew through this process in ways that it was hard to even overstate how beneficial it was. So again, if you want any more information, I know this was a really quick kind of explanation. If you want more information and some written instructions for this, hit me up with a comment, send a direct message. I'll be happy to send that over to you. Have a good day, everybody. Wishing you well, and yeah, I hope you're doing okay. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye bye.